Hi, this is Steve, and this is a short video to show you why you shouldn't fit a bed designed for a VW in a Vivaro, Trafic or Primastar. As you can see, this is one of the Bentley stitched pads that go on top of the frame as they describe it, but the main issue is that this corner is not set back far enough on the frame to be able to push the bed up against the wall, which is what normally happens with these beds. You'll normally get, these beds will normally go to the wall, and as you can see, there's a gap, and when you close this, there's a gap, and that reason is this pillar here is thicker on the Vivaro and Trafic and Primastar, and it's a lot thinner on the VW T4 and T5, and that's why this slash cut there won't butt up level. So you have to have a small gap at the rear, probably about that much. I'll shut the door, you might be able to see the gap that's there, just enough so the cushions don't fall through. And I say there's another gap there. Another issue with these types of beds, let me shut these doors and go round. Is that the pads, especially on these ones, don't lock into place because of the piping and just the general fit. Now, my personal opinion is this is a bed that has come from China, because to be perfectly honest, it's crap. The frame weighs such a huge amount that it actually came in two pieces, and the delivery drivers had to carry them in, holding each section for two people. It was that heavy that the two sections required two people to carry each section. Also, as you can see on this one, I'll put a link up onto the on the actual post. These the pads don't line up with the design. If you look at the centre bit that comes down, it doesn't line up, and you notice on the picture, and that's why I think this is Chinese, because it's crap, and pretty much everything from China has some sort of issue or problem, or it's ridiculous. Another issue with this is because of the way that the pads interlock, it makes it terrible to get up. Terrible. Now you tell me how you would get this bed up, how it's fitted. You think you'd be able to get the sides and pull it up from the sides? Maybe, but the problem again is this frame weighs so much that it's so difficult to get up. So what I've done is I've used a dog lead, and I've put it around the centre. What I think I'm going to do is install some rams, because there's no way that anyone else that ever tries to get this bed up will get it back up again, because it takes so much strength, just mainly because of the pads interlock and lock it into place where it actually comes out. So you have to give it quite a jolt and a pull. There we go, trying to do this while I'm holding this. Again. Here we go. Oh, come on. There we go. Another problem. Yay! Another problem with fitting a seat designed for a VW T4, T5 into a Vivaro is the seat bench. The seat bench is too high. If you're over 6 foot, this seat bench in a VW is too high. Now luckily I've been able to modify this one because if I take this off, you might be able to see, if I take this away and put it there, you might be able to see there that it locks into place. I don't know how well you can see that. Locks into place. So what I've been able to do is add some more holes where it locks into place, 2 more sets of holes, which allow me to recline this bed, push it a bit further, lock it into place. It's allowed me to do that. Another problem is if you do that, and you recline it, how do you get to the bar? Especially it comes with this thing that screws to there, but how it screws to there I've got no idea. The ply's very thin, so if a screw goes into that it's just gonna fall out. It's just basically this frame is basically just garbage. It looks like a really good frame. It has ball bearing runners, so it's nice and smooth when it comes out, but it's just, for how much metal and how thick it is, it's completely unnecessary. Because if you look underneath it as well when it's up, the only way of actually mounting this, let me go around the side again, the only way of actually mounting this is if you put, or I put, and a spare set of headlights there, these 2 bracing, well not bracing bars, these 2 supporting bars that go on the back. This is they've got 4 M10 nuts bolts that go through the floor with big metal washers underneath. But you might be able to see, but there's nothing else. And they've got the tiniest, I don't know whether you can see that, they've got the tiniest of welds, and then the final steaming cherry on top of the turd pie is that it's supplied with these ludicrously thin nuts. Look at these ludicrously thin nuts and bolts that they've supplied with it. And it's basically, this frame in an accident will probably become detached and end up spinning around or whatever, ended up in the front of this, because to be honest, there's nothing. I mean, you can't put belts on this. I mean, I know that people do put seat belts on these kinds of beds, even though they're not M1 tested to make sure they're at least safe in an accident. People still put belts on, and this one pretty much is probably the heaviest and most heavy duty frame that I've ever seen on a rock and roll bed. But the problem is that it's put together so badly with these little tiny shitty screws, hardly any decent welds, I say these pads are just rubbish. I mean, they look all right, and 90% of people would say I've got no problem with this, but if you look, things like where the pad is, it's just not. It's just not right. And like I said, it's if this is in an act. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, pretty much they're all the same. And some of the frames are even worse than. Some of the frames are even lightweight and worse than these, and people put seat belts on them thinking that their child or someone is going to be safe in an accident if somebody hits this, when the real answer is not a prayer, because there's no way that the amount of weight that this bed has and the amount of rubbish mounting points and the way it's been badly welded and it's got these little screws in, there's no way that this isn't going to become detached at some point in a quite a bad accident and end up in the front, depending on where it's hit. But what do? I mean, I certainly can't afford £800 to £1,200 for an M1 tested bed, and the only thing that I can do is make sure nobody sits on this, there's no belts on this, and, you know, not drive like a complete idiot. I know there's people that will take issue with this. I've already had traders on my own Facebook group, TVPCampers, that have took issue because they have fitted belts to their non-M1 tested beds, and according to them they're safe, even though their beds have had no testing or anything, but they're just telling people that they're safe to put belts on, but they're not. Only M1 tested beds have the certification to be used with seat belts. No other bed has. Now, whether you take that M1 certification as being something that you would adhere to and not fit belts is entirely up to you. Obviously, you sleep well at night knowing that, you know, the chances of something like this killing somebody is going to be very slim. But I wouldn't sell these beds with belts, or tell people it's fine to put belts on these, because they're not. I think that's pretty much it. I'll put a link to this bed, but please don't buy this bed. This bed, as well as being like that, it's also the pads just don't lock. It's so uncomfortable. Let me pull it out again just so you can see. It's so uncomfortable to lie on that you'd need to have a mattress, a memory foam mattress. But that means bringing extra. When you're going camping, it means you're bringing extra stuff. And why do you want to bring a mattress? This is supposed to be a mattress. So why would you bring a mattress? It's ridiculous. And as you can see, when it's down, this has been pop riveted on. That looks a little bit better, but as you can might be able to see, these pads, they don't lock into place, and no amount of adjusting these pads, because what you'll do is you'll find that one side will be fine and then the other side will be down, and you'll just keep adjusting, and then what you'll end up doing is just saying, well, that's about the best I can do. And the thing with this is it's not comfortable to lie on, because all this piping, although it looks good when it's sat up and in a van and people will go, oh, it's Bentley stitched, oh, it looks so professional and good, but you try lying on one of these beds for any length of time with all this piping and stitching that's going to be digging into you while you're trying to sleep, unless you've got a memory foam mattress. All this piping is going to dig into you when you're trying to sleep. Look at the gap on that, how big the gap is on that. It's just garbage. And I paid Well, I didn't actually pay for it, but it was a present, and I think it cost 540. There was a discount to get free, more or less get free delivery. So, but would I pay 500? No, I wouldn't. And if I was going to do this again, I would make sure that I didn't get one of these that had the headrest, all this other rubbish. I'd make sure it's just straight at the top, because at least then you can sleep on it. Another issue with these beds, and not in fact not these beds, but other beds that you have to take take a look at, is that some of these, because they're so cheap, you see these beds on eBay that are about £400, but if you look at the bench part, it's really wide, and you basically, when you're sat on it, your legs are just trying to dangle off it, and you slide off it, because the one thing that this has actually got is the front of the pad, of the bench pad, is actually raised up a bit, which is how it is on decent beds. But on a lot of these ones, they're just flat, and the way they are, they're just angled downwards, so you just slide off them. So yeah, this is why, if possible, you shouldn't buy a bed designed for a VW T4 or T5 or any other bed, to be fair, because it just won't fit right unless you get it cheap enough, used or second hand, and you don't mind that, or you don't even mind that it's got gaps in it, then that's fair enough. But this is my own personal opinion, so don't give me grief about it and say, you know, because if you're happy with that, then you're happy with that. This is for people that have got no idea on what they're buying, and on my group there's a hell of a lot of people that don't know what bed to buy, and this is just a guide for people to look at and go, well, you know, maybe I'll buy a bed that's been designed specifically for a Vivaro, Trafic or Primastar, rather than buying something that's, you know, that's gonna be like this. So that's it. Better get it uploaded. I know there's people been waiting for it. So there you go. Thanks for watching.